Yo, 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 what is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy Pod presented to you by DSM Media, as well as your host, myself, the Sun Reaper herself. Shout out my guy, Scotty, for giving me that. You can follow me on X at R2R30111, and you can follow your other host here at Scotty Drown on X as well. And yeah, man, the title speaks for itself. NBA Finals update. With two games in, going on three starting tomorrow. And yeah, man, basically just going to give our takeaways and recapping the past two games thus far in the NBA Finals. But before we get into any of that, my guy Scott, how you doing this fine Tuesday
I'm
afternoon? Well, evening, rather, my brother.
it is yeah, we are in the evening, man. Honestly, this Tuesday flew by. Work kept me busy all day.
Yeah, I know
Um
that feeling, man.
I was just getting the stream shared out on X here. But
Mhm.
no, man, happy Tuesday. I'm feeling good. Obviously, being off work, it's always exciting. Get to talk hoops, and we're only one day away from Game 3, which I mean, it just feels like an eternity in between games right now.
You got to keep
Um,
yourself busy, man.
just waiting for hoops. Yeah, I've started running and shit. You know what I mean? I'm running for fun. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going out and playing bad. I'm just running for fun and shit in
Yeah.
my free time. Like
Mhm.
that's how down bad I am without hoops to watch. But it's all good. That's what I spend the summer doing, get myself back in shape.
Mhm.
But no, like you said, you got to fill the time up. Started in a hoop league. I know you've been hooping some yourself on the side. You started a new job, so staying busy. It's the time of change, my man.
For
As we
sure, bro.
gravitate to the off season.
For
But
sure, bro.
fun
But
series still to go here, as you
yeah.
mentioned.
But before we dive into any topics and whatnot, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn those notifications on so you won't miss any more of this great content moving forward. As well as go to our TikTok channel. Follow us on there. We post a lot of good content on there. My guy Scotty got his own page at Scotty Drown. And we got the NBA to the Galaxy Pod on TikTok page as well. So yeah, man, you guys been tapping in for sure, man. But over 35 people read the profile. Only one guy followed us, and that was D-Rab, man. I gotta give him a shout out for that. We appreciate it, man. But nonetheless, make sure you guys hit the follow button, and yeah, we'll pretty much
Yes,
go from
sir.
there. But I see
Tap
these,
in.
yeah, I see people tapping in the comment section. We got my guy Scotty here, H1X Logs, DSM Media, Go to Say Word Film Room, NFL Turf Talk, guys tapping in, man. So hey, man, we appreciate it for sure.
Definitely tap in. That's what the show's all about, as Slim mentioned. We love talking to you guys, so getting involved in the comments. That being said, man, you want to dive into game one? Start here.
Let's get it, my guy.
Let's get it. So we look at game one. Obviously, you had the Pacers come away with the 111-110 win. Late game heroics. It's the obvious takeaway here. The Pacers, what, down double digits going into the fourth quarter. Um, Nothing too crazy, right? There were moments early in the game in the third quarter where OKC, they had opportunities to kind of run away with game one. They had
Sure.
opportunities to kind of branch that lead out to a 15 plus point lead, a 20 plus point lead, something a little more insurmountable, but they weren't able to do that. Indiana was able to hang in there. They hit key shots and key moments to kind of transition them into the end of game, which came in the fourth quarter, obviously. And I'm going to throw it to you, man, but I'll just start with this. OKC got real tight down the stretch in game one, started looking like a shell of themselves, taking a lot of outside shots that just, for my money, weren't good shot selection. And then on the other side, you had Indiana doing what they have done in each and every round of the postseason so far, which is come up in these big clutch moments, come from behind surprise type of wins.
Mhm.
Tyrese Halliburton shows his stones down the stretch.
Yeah,
I'll throw it to you, man. That's a lot right there. I know. OKC tight. Indiana comes up clutch. What were your takeaways, man? Looking at game one,
well, I had to say number one, OKC didn't execute off those turnovers.
a
Indiana
lot of
finished the
turnovers.
game with 24 turnovers.
Yeah,
OKC scored 11 points off those turnovers. That is just crazy. You have to score more than that. And a team like OKC is clearly worthy of doing that. They just didn't do it.
absolutely,
So in saying that,
absolutely.
I have to say them not executing off those turnovers. Secondly, too much iso ball for my liking. I mean, I don't know if is it Coach Dagnall? I
Yeah,
think that's his name, but
yeah. Mark Dagnall.
I don't know if he gave AJ Mitchell the green light to be aggressive, but he came into the game with that mentality. He go get his shots up, and I was like, I don't know what's going on with that. But even SGA,
Wanted his finals moment.
he was kind of a little bit too aggressive. Like I know that kind of sounds crazy, but he was. It's like he was just shooting just to be shooting, just to get the shots up. But
Yeah,
nonetheless, it was just not like a team ball, like a lot of passing and their style of basketball being played, just a lot of iso ball. So that was secondly, and then lastly, man, OKC they got killed on the glass, man. And it's crazy that they went small. Like obviously, I'm pretty sure they knew that them going small would lead to that, but
yeah.
OKC finished the game with 39 rebounds, Indiana 56 rebounds. You just can't get killed on the glass like that. Chet, you have to take a little bit more pride in being physical down low, banging and things like that. So those are my three takeaways, man. And then
Yeah,
obviously, Halliburton, he did the damn thing, man. He hit the game winner. This has been one hell of a run for that dude from a game winner perspective. I
yeah.
mean, he hit the game winner game one. He hit a game winner in Cleveland, game winner in New York. Well, not a game winner, but he hit the clutch shot in New York. Even in Milwaukee, he was clutching that
Milwaukee.
series. So,
Yeah,
yeah, he's been on one heck of a run. But nonetheless, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think overall OKC really they gave Indiana that game for being honest. Because like to
yeah.
your point, they was up. So
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. And there was something that you said there that I wanted to circle back to and ask you about. What did you think about the starting lineup change? And they've done it in game one and game two, so it's worked. And I guess you could say it hasn't worked in game one, right? But
mhm.
what are your thoughts around not just switching Hartenstein out for Case and Wallace and going small ball, but changing your philosophy or your identity in the biggest moments of the season in the NBA Finals? What are your thoughts on that decision to start Case and Wallace instead of Isaiah Hartenstein?
I feel like it was more so to counter like Indiana like pace. We know they like to run up and down the court. So
Yeah.
you go small, you move Chet. Your new star lineup consists of now SGA, Casey Wallace, Lou Dort, J Dub, and Chet. Like I said, you pretty much valuing Wallace defensive versatility over Isaiah Hartenstein paint
Fair.
presence, and it makes sense to do that because I got it right here during the regular season. The Pacers outscore OKC to be more exact when Isaiah Hartenstein was on the court. So that kind of says
Okay.
a lot. So that makes it makes all the sense in the world to kind of make that adjustment. So and they stuck with the lineup in game two. They made adjustments with Isaiah Hartenstein playing more
Yeah.
minutes in the first half. Experiment with a double big lineup featuring Chet and Hartenstein. Is it Kenrich Williams? I think that's his name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Kenrick, something like that.
yeah, he
Kenrick.
he's seeing some increased minutes as well. The adjustments aim to address like the rebound issues. OKC, like I said, it was out rebounding in game one. So in game two, it kind of makes sense. Like the small ball approach, it includes multiple guards, focus on matching Indiana's speeds and improving transition defense. So, however, I kind of feel like at some point during this series, they may go back to the double big line to kind of help on rebounding from the rebounding department and paint present. But nonetheless, it's been working so far. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going to Indiana 1-1. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually feel that. I just thought it was interesting. You look at a team that was approaching 70 wins this season, and they were not afraid in the biggest moment to make a big change to their starting lineup. And to your point, maybe that just speaks to them, being flexible and the depth that they have, the different
Yeah,
options they
I
can
agree.
present. And to your point, you play an Indiana squad that throws out there Aaron Neesmith, Andrew
Yeah.
Nimhard, Tyrese Halliburton, all these guys that can get their own shot off the dribble, can drive the lane. So you do, to your point, need the foot speed out there. You could throw a Dort on a Pascal Siakam from time to time. Even switch J Dub on and off there. So yeah, I think to your point, man, when you look at this game one, what I came away with was I wasn't sure if Indiana should have won this game. Like to your point, I think everything
Yeah.
pointed to an extent, though, right? Like Indiana won the 3-point shooting contest by 7 more made 3-pointers. They did win the rebounding contest, to your point, 56-39. They won the assist contest to your point, stagnant offense from OKC, 24-13. You mentioned the turnovers already, 25-7, Indiana to OKC.
Man,
But to your point, not capitalizing off the
no.
25 turnovers, and then points in the paint. You look at in this game the points in the paint. OKC won the points in the paint in this game, so it was interesting. It left me very confused looking at the numbers. You look at the turnovers, you look at the points in the paint. That points to OKC, but ultimately they lose this game by 1 point. It is at home. It's not one you want to drop, but I liked your point about SGA, and I thought the ball stuck with him a little bit too much. I think he got a little caught up in the, game one NBA Finals. You're at home. You can have this signature game. He was approaching 40 points in this game. You get that W. It's just a signature moment in his MVP season. I can see how you can get caught up in that, but only 3 assists in that game one. And it showed. He took 9 more shots than what he took in game 2, where he still had 34 points. So I think that just speaks to he can still have a big night scoring, but not take as many shots and maybe not, shoot as freely and get his other guys involved. Chet, 6 points in that game 1, man. That whether that's Chet, whether that's SGA, that's not appropriate. So as the MVP, as the leader of the team, I think you need to make it a point. Get the ball in Chet's hands. Get him in spots where he can get easy buckets to build his confidence. Ultimately, you just didn't see much from the rest of this OKC roster in game 1 outside of SGA. I mean, J-Dub gave you 17, but horrible shooting, especially down the stretch. Ultimately, I think, you look across the court at Indiana, and they took advantage in the moments. You look at Andrew Nembhard, man, I saw comparisons. The little step back, I do see it. I see it. They like reverse the imaging. I saw this video. They reversed the imaging. They're comparing it to James Harden. I see it. And I did think of something as I was watching Nembhard, and you start to think about Nesmith, these big games, big moments that they've had themselves. Could Nembhard go to another team and expand his role and become maybe follow that James Harden path? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. He's a very talented player. He showed that down the stretch of this game 1. And Obi Toppin, I want to shout him out too. He hit some big threes in this game. I think he went 5 for 8 from the 3-point line. Yeah, 5 for 8, 17 points. Your boy Miles Turner, your pick for the NBA Finals MVP, he hits this just crazy 3-point shot off the backboard in a late moment in the game. And then obviously Tyrese Halliburton just finishes them off. I do want to ask you, though, is Halliburton aggressive enough for you so far? And maybe this can shift us into game 2 talk. Obviously, he has the big finishing moments in game 1. I think he went into the fourth quarter with 5 points, and he ends up with 17? 14 points, excuse me. So even less than what I thought he had in game 1, but he hits the game winner. Is he being aggressive enough for you, or do you think his time is still yet to come in this series?
I feel like a guy with Halliburton, that's not really his calling card for real. Like, he's not one of those guys that looking to just go out there and hunt his own shot. He's a pass for a type of PG, so he's looking to get his teammates involved. Although you do make a good argument with that point, like maybe he does be a little bit, maybe he can be passive. Like maybe he should just find that balance of knowing when to pass, but also being aggressive because we've seen like young superstars coming up into this league kind of like struggle with that balance of just trying to, be a good point guard and leader while also trying to go out there and get yours. But I think that it's in between, like him being a point guard and then also just scoring the rock. So I don't think that he's not being aggressive. I think that he's playing the right way to answer your question because to your like to my point earlier, like in game 1 with SGA, like he shot the ball 30 times. I don't just see Halliburton kind of doing that. I don't think he even needs to shoot the ball that much,
Yeah.
to kind of help those guys win because that's not really his game. Although he can step it up a notch for sure. So to answer your question, I don't think that. I mean, I do think he's been aggressive enough, but he can kind of kick it up a notch for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what I'm looking for. Like maybe instead of he's taken 13 shots in both of these games. Um, just confirming. Yeah, 13 shots in each of game one and game two so far.
Hmm.
Maybe give us like 17 shots, 20 shots a game. And I only say that because I think, you look at game one and you look at the difference in game two, and we can talk about it. It was a 123-107 win for OKC. I feel like it was kind of expected, especially after the game one, that OKC needed to come out and win game two at home, and kind of put their foot down. But when you look at game two, OKC got up in the 120s. And you got the scoring from the bench and Caruso and Anthony Wiggins, and you got a little bit more from Chet. You got a little bit more from J-Dub. They get up into the 120s in their win. Indiana's win was 111-110. This game they score 107. So OKC is holding Indiana down a bit from their scoring averages and that fast pace, that high scoring type of team that we saw. So when I start to look at game one to game two, OKC's defense is doing their thing. It's all about the offense. In game two, you get the 3-point shooting from Caruso, from Anthony Wiggins, I mentioned off the bench. But I feel like they need more from Halliburton. They need that Halliburton, like, and maybe it's coming in Indiana. That's what I meant, is like maybe his moment hasn't came, because I saw it in the last series in the Eastern Conference Finals. They got back to Indiana, and he goes out there. He's aggressive. He's shooting the ball. He gets up, 20 to 25 shots back in Indiana. And I think he does. I think that's one thing. And funny enough, I do want to ask you about this, the nickname, the moment. Because as I'm talking, bro, I'm thinking he picks his moments very well. He does it very well. And so game three would be a good opportunity for him to come back home where he's comfortable and start this game hot, come out aggressive, start shooting from the 3-point line a little more often, and kind of give Indiana that early lift so that they're not having to come back by, 10 double digits or 15 points late in the game. You just can't rely on that. So I think he does need to come out aggressive. But what do you think about his nickname? Is that his nickname?
I think it could be one of his nicknames. I don't think that should be like his main go-to nickname, because he has had some moments there in his postseason. I was just alluding to that. Like every round of the postseason, that's why he has had a moment. So
he has. It's fair.
It's fair. It is. It really is. But I don't think it should be his main nickname. Like a guy like Sean Marion, he had the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
which is fire.
Yeah, I don't think the moment is anything to just, So it could be one of his nicknames, not his main one for sure. So
I feel that. The other one is like Hali Band. Haliban. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Yes, I think I've seen that.
Martian says if Indiana doesn't win the 3-point game, then they have won the only game they're going to win. I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair for sure. Yeah.
On the other side of things, what? Anthony Wiggins in this game too. He goes 5 for 8 from the 3-point line. Alex Caruso goes 4 for 8 from the 3-point line. They get 9 threes from those two guys. That can go both ways. Like, are you going to get that again? That type of production from Caruso, you'll get it in other ways. Wiggins, I think that was his game. Game 2 was the Wiggins game off the bench. 18 points, 5 threes. I don't know if you get that again, but that's the thing with OKC. They have other guys that can.
Yeah, they got a lot of
that can do it.
Yeah, they got a lot of depth over there for sure.
Aside from Halliburton, who do you think needs to step up after games 1 and 2 for Indiana? Aside from Halliburton, whether you think he does or not, we could throw him to the side. Who's the guy that comes to mind when you think of who needs to step up going forward for Indiana?
Pascal Siakam. Game 2, shot 3 of 11 from the field. He has to be better. I mean, you are the reigning Eastern Conference Finals MVP. You got to go out there and play like it. So, yeah. And to your point earlier, I want you to throw that in there. Like, with the adjustments that Mark, is it Mark Dagnall? I don't know if I'm saying
Yeah,
it right.
yeah.
With the
Mark Dagnall,
adjustments,
you got
with
it.
the
You got it.
adjustments that he's made, like you said, that's kind of bold to do that on the stage as high as the NBA Finals. I agree, but it's like this, man. It's like it's a chess match. You know, you're always making adjustments, keeping your opponent on their heels, and that's what he's done. Like taking Isaiah Hartenstein out the lineup and then going small. So,
Yeah,
and it has worked. Like just to try to match that pace with Indiana because we know they like to get out in transition for sure. And to your point that you just alluded to, like with what you said, like with Halliburton, how he kind of is struggling right now. Well, I wouldn't say struggling, not
not
really getting,
struggling,
just
just
not
not
being more so
assertive.
aggressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
not
not being
assertive.
aggressive. You can argue that the fact that they pretty much switching everything OKC, that has kind of a lot to do with it. Like it's not really just a target on in that starting lineup. Like if Isaiah
That's fair.
Hartenstein was starting, he would be the target, on defense. Just keep involving him in the pick and roll. But Chet is he's more so a better defender than Isaiah Hartenstein. So yeah.
No, that is fair. That's a fair point, and I think on the other end as well, just they OKC is looking for Halliburton on the defensive end. They're trying to attack him there as well, which obviously can wear him down.
Yeah, but
Um,
to answer your original question, you got to be
yeah,
Pascal, bro. You got to be.
yeah, I do agree, and I think the same thing with him. I mean, you look at game two, he wasn't very efficient, but he only takes 11 shots. And I get that they spread the ball around. I get that this was a blowout, so maybe you don't get a full fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But 11 shots for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Like, if Halliburton isn't taking 20 shots, then Pascal Siakam should be. He should be at least taking 15 to 17 shots.
Bare minimum, yep.
You got to be aggressive, man. And maybe let's think of it in this way. I'll ask you this: do you think there's any thought, any juice to the Pacers just taking the foot off the gas in game two, and you got game one? Let's just go back to Indiana, and with the split, we've done our job here.
That's kind of a good
Does
way
that
to
play a
look at
part?
it. That's a good perspective to look at it because that's probably was the mentality. Because as a road team, bro, like stealing just one game on the road, that's always a goal. And they did that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that you let up, but it's like you ain't just stressing to win this game. Like you going back home, with a game under your belt. So they could have looked at it from that point of view, but I don't know, man.
It's
They
not
stole
good
one
to do
game.
that, but it's natural to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like,
You stole one game, that's all you can ask for. So
yeah,
yeah. And
especially
they
against
stole that
OKC
game for sure. So
for
yeah, but
sure.
where you want to head with it now? Like want to recap like game two or
Yeah, I mean, I mean, did you have any further takeaways from game two? Definitely, if you got any further.
well, the only thing I had to say was that, you know, your room for error against a team like OKC is slim, bro. Like OKC in game one, OKC had 39 rebounds, Indiana had 56. In game two, OKC had 43 rebounds, Indiana 35. The turnover battles, Indiana had 25, OKC had 6. In game two, OKC had 13, Indiana had 15. So the point that I'm trying to make is like you have to kind of fix that. Like you didn't, Indiana, you didn't slam down your turnover. You still finished game 15. Game one, you had 24. The rebounding battle, you let OKC come back and beat you on the glass, and they went small. So in saying that, like you have to kind of, adjust that because, like I say, your room for error is slim. So you have to work on it, man, for real.
Yeah, yeah, Slim getting creative in here, D-Rab. But no, I think you're spot on. I think what you saw in game two ultimately was OKC come out and win the hustle battle, right? The rebounding, the turnovers. Just came out and played smart basketball and ultimately was able to complete it with the 3-point shooting, which was kind of the difference when you look at game one to game two. OKC hit more threes. I think to Marcia's point, he put it in the chat. I think D-Rab did as well.
Yeah,
The 3-point
D-Rab,
shot. If
yeah.
OKC wins the 3-point shot battle, the Pacers aren't going to have a chance, let alone it being a competitive game. So I would actually like to see Indiana continue to shoot the three ball. They shot it 40 times. I don't know if you could ask them to shoot it more than that. Just continue to let it fly. I've seen Miles Turner, Obi Toppin. Those guys have been letting it fly as well. They're going to need the scoring. So I think that's got to be something that they look at. You just got to hit more shots, and you
Yeah,
should be able to do that at home.
yeah.
To your
Role
point,
players
the
for that.
turnovers is one of the controllables that they can
Yes,
turn around and
yes.
try to maneuver. But I mean, we're talking about OKC, this defense that just flies around. The best defense in the NBA, right? The most versatility. You talked about inserting Case and Wallace for Hartenstein, and it's worked because of his defensive capabilities. So
Mhm.
we ask him to cut down the turnovers. Is it really going to be possible?
I think so. Because a lot of those turnovers in game one was just silly. It was
20,
ticking. It was ticking me
25 in
off.
game one, but 15 in game two. That's not like. Is it going to get
That's
much
not.
lower than that?
It's not bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not bad. It's really not. But you still get the like. You can't really mess up against this team, bro. You have to dang
Yeah,
near play perfect. Like
I agree.
you, you like to exploit OKC defense. You have to shoot efficient from the field, and you have to like control your turnover just to stay in this series. So yeah, yeah. I feel you on that, Marshall.
Yeah, Caruso has been balling, man. He's been balling. No,
Uh,
I do agree. I think to your point, the Pacers have to play borderline perfect in order to beat this
just to have a
OKC team.
chance. Just to
Yeah,
have a
just to have a
chance.
chance. That's a good way to
Yeah.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
No.
I don't know if you have anything else, but one last question, like
Yeah.
I said, like what is your confidence level in Indiana after the split in OKC? Like going back to the crib 1-1, like what is your confidence level in those guys to handle business?
It's a tough question. It's a tough question because game one, game two, they were a little confusing as we've discussed so far in the show. When you look at the numbers, you look at the different metrics, but what I come back to is OKC and the difference between game one and game two for them offensively versus the difference for the Pacers offensively. There wasn't much difference for the Pacers. They scored a 107 points in game two, 111 in game one. They scored four more points in game one. They won by 1 point. If OKC is able to get in the 120s like they do regularly, I think it's going to be really hard for Indiana to beat this team, man. I think OKC just has too much. I think when you look at the way SGA is playing, like yes, game one he hogged the ball a little too much, but still
That's
shot just under 50%. I think he was 14 for 30 from the field. So he's it's not like he's not playing efficient basketball. He just needs to get his guys more involved early so that they can finish the game a little bit stronger when those double teams start coming more fluidly. But overall confidence level with Indiana that they could win the series, I mean 35% out of 100, and I guess that's increased with the split. Like I guess if you would have asked me, I had what OKC winning this series in 5 or 6 games. I would have probably put it at 20% to start the series.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would go with like 35-40%. They did get the split, which is so important.
It is, man. It is.
I just think OKC's defense is gonna make this series really, really tough for Indiana.
Yeah, I feel it for
What
sure.
about you?
You hit the nail on the head. For me, man, I'm gonna have to say my confidence level in Indiana, I'm gonna say it's moderate. Like in game one, they proved that they can compete for sure. They stole game one. Hali hit the game winner. But in game two, man, OKC dominance shows like the gap in execution and consistency. Like the Pacers' home games are going to be crucial. So in saying that they're going to need star performances from Halliburton and Pascal just to kind of compete. I said, like if you get a 30-point game from Pascal and like a 25-point game from Halliburton, then hey, you can definitely compete. So my confidence
Yeah.
level in those guys is moderate. I still kind of well, I ain't gonna switch up. I originally had them at 7, so I have to kind of stick with that. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm gonna go with. My confidence level in them is moderate, man.
You know who they could try to lean on a little bit more as well. A guy that's not afraid to get his own shot. Benedict Mathurin as well off the
Mm-hmm.
bench. He's been great defensively.
I agree.
He can guard SGA fairly well. He's athletic, obviously. Met J-Dub at the rim in game one. He shows signs all the time that he
Yeah,
can
bucket.
be borderline star player in the league. Like he has capabilities. So
Yeah,
I
bucket.
think they just got to lean into that type of stuff more, get more out of these guys. And I do think, to your point, it starts with Hali, it starts with Siakam. Those guys got to be assertive. They got to get their own
Yeah.
shots. They got to force the attention on themselves so that
Mm-hmm.
these other guys can prosper around them, man.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I completely agree. Like, we get Benedict Mathurin kind of, in that zone because he's a bucket for sure. Like, he was averaging like 18 points before he went down with the injury. So, yeah, like another thing that help Indiana get like another win is like we go back to game one. Obi Toppin, to your point, he had 5 3-pointers, finished the game with 18 points. If between outside of him, maybe Thomas Bryant, T.J. McConnell, Mathurin, and maybe even a Neesmith, between one of those guys can give you like another game like Obi Toppin did, where they're providing like points, a little bit of everything, rebound, being solid on the defensive side of things. Then you probably could steal you another game in this series. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that's got to be the goal as well. To your point, you got to take it game by game and just try to steal the next one, and that's got to be the mentality coming in as underdogs, which is what they are. They were double digit underdogs in game one and game two. They go back home. They're 6 to 7 point underdogs to OKC at home. So operate with that chip on the shoulder, just like they've been doing, and make it a game. And as you saw in game one, if they can keep it tight, if they can keep it semi close going into the fourth, maybe they can come away with something. Let's just lead into this conversation, man. Looking at game three, we can start there and then go into game four. I think we'll be back on the show after those two games. I think next Monday is game five, so we can excuse my pup in the background. We could definitely get
that time,
together.
huh?
Yeah, just going crazy. I'm sure the
That time.
mailman's here or something. But let's get into game three. Predictions, man. What do you want to see from Indiana in their first game at home?
Hmm. I want to see a Tyrese Halliburton signature game. Like that's what I want to see. He hit the game winning game one, game two. He started cooking pretty much when it was late. The game's pretty much over at that point. But I want to see like how SGA kind of stamped, solidified himself in the first two games in this series. I want to see Halliburton do that. So yeah, my man, bring his mic over there, man.
Nah, yeah, because I'm trying to let him stop barking, man. He's getting on my nerve.
Yeah,
Like,
but nah,
it's just
like
pissing me
for,
off.
for sure, I would say Halliburton, and then also like, Pascal Siakam, bro. We need you to kind of turn it up a notch, bro. Like, don't be too passive. This is the NBA Finals. You've been here before. You know what it takes to win. So go out there and do the damn thing. So let's get it.
I do think OKC is gonna come out and put their foot down in this game. Um, I feel you. I do think Siakam, Halliburton, they got to come out aggressive. They have to be the difference and lead by example for Indiana, especially at home. Get the crowd involved early. Stay in the game. Don't let it get out of hand
Yes.
early like it's
Right.
been
Yes.
the first two games. And you certainly have a chance, but I do think OKC comes out, puts their foot down. I think it's about time for a J Dub game, a 20 plus point type of outing for J Dub. And I think OKC kind of steals one back immediately once they go
Mhm.
back to Indiana. Um, I think the Pacers need more from Halliburton, to your point, man. He's averaging 15 and a half points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 6 assists through two games so far. He's shooting the ball 50% from the field, 33% from the 3 point line. Listen to this one, though. He has not gotten to the free throw line in this series. And don't get me wrong, he doesn't get to the free
Yeah,
throw
I
line
was just gonna say.
often,
Yeah, I
but
was gonna
that's
say.
kind of crazy, bro. That's kind of
It
crazy to
is.
not get to the free throw line at all
Yeah,
through two games.
it is. But Halliburton is more of a shooter, though. He don't
Come
really.
on. You
He
got to
can
be
hit
assertive, bro. He's
downhill.
taking 13 shots and he's not getting to the free throw line.
Well,
Come
yeah.
on.
Well, my advice to
13 shots per game, no free throws.
well, all I can say is this, bro. My advice to Tyrese Halliburton is to simply ask SGA, man, what the heck I got to do to get some fame? You know, so simple as that, man.
No, I do. I think that's the start, man. You're back home. He should get his whistle at home, right? You talk about OKC and the lack of whistles
Yeah,
that they get, right?
but
Maybe Indiana, you go back home and you attack the rim, and maybe Halliburton could get those superstar calls at home, man. But I think that just shows a sign of his lack of. And to your point,
aggressiveness.
it's not that it's totally wrong because he gets his guys involved. That's what he is. He's a connector piece. He's a
Yeah, he's a
facilitator.
playmaker. Yeah,
But when he scores 20 plus points, what's their record again?
it's a good question.
It's a
I'm pretty
very
sure
good record. I think they have one loss on the season when he scores 20 plus points.
he
So
is a good record for sure. I know Pascal Siakam gets to the line.
let's check. Because that's actually a good question. I'm actually curious on Pascal Siakam.
No, he definitely does for sure.
I know he gets to the free throw line. I'm just saying in this series.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, to your point. Yeah, he's done his job. I think that's fair. 6 free throws in game Game 2? No, game 1, 6 free throws, 9 free throws in game 2. So he's being he got most of his points from the free throw line in game 2. So 3 for 11 from the field. But
yeah, we got Marshawn and D-Rab. They having one hell of a conversation in chat.
there. We just get them Jones pop up automatically. We're getting a ton of them in there. As you go on, so who do you think wins this game? Let's take it out of game 3, game 4. Let's go over the next 2 games in Indiana. How do you think this series ends out through the weekend? When we're back here Monday, what's going to be the record in this series?
I think OKC take game 3, and I think Indiana takes game 4. So overall, it'll be tied 2-2. Yeah, going back.
I think that would be ideal.
Yeah, I don't think that Indiana's going to go back home and not get a game. I don't kind of see that happening. So, yeah,
I feel that. I actually do feel that. Obviously, I had the series going 6 games. I think Indiana could pop off for one more game in Indiana. I think they could pop off and get a W, and they have to your point. You cannot leave Indiana down 3-1. So
no,
I guess I would agree, man, because I do. I have OKC winning game 3 as well, and so
you can't do that, bro.
game 4, we on the same track. But you got the SGA shirt on. You got the SGA shirt on now.
I'm rocking the MVP, man. Pretty cool dude, man.
Martian, yes. Philly people definitely say John. Yes, that's a fact. I did have a question for Martian earlier on in the comments. I didn't address it because I didn't want to take us off track.
Yeah.
But there's been some talk, and I would love your perspective on it, bro. There's been some talk about the Sixers trading the 3rd pick, pairing it with like a Lonnie Walker, sending it to New Orleans for Herb Jones and the 7th pick in the draft. And I'm just curious on your instant thoughts there.
I would definitely do that.
You would do that?
Yeah, absolutely, I would do that. Like, with all due respect, if y'all draft Ace Bailey, I think he has all the potential in the world. But I feel like you bring in a guy like Herb Jones in that system, that instantly makes y'all better. And then y'all also get the 7th pick as well. Like, y'all really winning that trade, in my opinion. Like, you can look at it from the perspective like we passing up on this raw prospect in Ace Bailey, but if y'all trying to contend for a title, you have to make that move. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Like that's my thing. I just don't know if we're competing for a title. Like,
Well, see, that's the
know.
thing, though. If y'all not competing for a title, then no, I will not do that. Because
right.
When you talk about this on the book and off the book with Joel Embiid health, bro, there's no guarantee that he's going to come back to that same level that he once was a few years ago, bro.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of my main thought in it is, like, Embiid, we just don't even know. He's operating with one knee right now.
If y'all want to win a championship, he has to be 100% healthy.
Yeah. and I look at Herb Jones, man, and he's a solid player. He's a good role player. I think he's great defensively,
And his
obviously.
contract is very friendly.
But he's coming off a torn rotator cuff. He couldn't shoot before that. He had one outlier year where he looked like he could shoot the 3-point ball. And the rest of the seasons, he has not shot the ball well. He's coming off an injury to his shoulder. I don't know how much I trust that. Like,
Hold up now, hold
with
up,
all
hold
of
up,
these
hold up,
broken
man,
shooting
hold up,
products that we have brought into Philadelphia,
hold
Ben
up, bro,
Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, these
hold
guys
up,
that
bro.
come here and they forget how to shoot. Markel Fultz.
Okay, okay, hold
The
up though.
worst will happen with Herb Jones.
But
Just
to
don't
be
even do it. Just don't
but to
even do
be
it.
fair though, to be fair, you do know where he's at right now, right? He's in New Orleans, bro.
It's fair.
Look at Dyson Daniels. The man said it himself. As soon as he left New Orleans, it's like he felt rejuvenated. He just won most improved player. Like you have to
It's
consider
fair.
that, bro.
It's fair. It's fair. I can't, man. I look at Herb Jones. He's coming off a torn rotator cuff. You got Embiid coming off of a torn knee, whatever the hell was going on there, and then you got Paul George in
Because
his pinky.
you wanna well look at that. If y'all do that trade, you can easily draft a big man with that 7 overall pick and load manage the heck out of Joel Embiid, bro. Like whether it be Derek
You
Queen
could
or what's the guy name that played for Duke? Uh,
Malawach, yeah, common
yeah,
Malawach.
either him or Derek Queen. You know, the 7 overall pick.
I feel it. I do feel it. Like I get it. I guess for me, you really gotta sell on Ace Bailey. Like if you're moving out of that third pick and somebody wants that pick, they want to get Ace. Give me Trey Murphy.
Oh no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, give me Trey
No,
Murphy.
I'm not doing
Yeah.
that, bro.
I'll
No.
throw in something. I'll throw in something, bro. I'll
Unless you,
re-sign Grimes and I'll throw
yeah,
Grimes
okay.
along with the
Now,
third pick.
if you do that, then okay, that's probably fair. Okay.
That I would do. I love Trey Murphy. He can
Yeah,
shoot, lengthy.
trigger Trey.
Imagine
Yeah,
him with
yeah.
Embiid, but even without Embiid, he's a great piece, and that's what I love about that.
He's shown that he's more than just a shooter too. He's a
Yeah,
bucket. Like
yeah, that's
he's
fair
a
too,
bucket. So,
and that's kind of where I'm at. It's like if you want the third pick that bad, give me Trey Murphy. It's
they
the
not
third
doing
pick
that.
in the draft.
They're not doing that.
I
They're
wouldn't do
not
it
doing
if I was them either because they need to move off Zion somehow.
that. Mhm.
So you need to focus on that.
Yeah, like
But if
they.
I'm Philadelphia, if you want the third pick, if you want the sure chance at VJ or Ace, Trey Murphy the third. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
come
time
on.
to move on from Zion. They moved Brandon Ingram for expiring contracts. It makes all the sense in the world. So I think sooner or later it's going to be Zion, then DeJounte Murray, and the list goes on and on.
Just
So
keep selling. Yeah,
yeah, just keep selling because you're not like at this point, bro. Like you're not going to compete for a title. So it's
I
just
think
best to
that's
move
fair.
on from Zion. So yeah, but to my point though, Dyson Daniels most improved player.
It's fair. It's fair. And Herb Jones, it's not to say he's not a good player. He's a good player. Just don't know if he's worth moving off the third pick. But I do get your point. The big man point is a very good one. Derek
Yeah, like
Queen,
y'all could
Amin
load man,
Malawach, they will be there.
y'all could load manage Joel Embiid. You know, yeah,
Yeah,
really cool.
it's an option. We need to know what Embiid's knee is on, but we got a big off season ahead. We don't need to dive into that too much on this show, my
Yeah, we
man.
gave you guys a preview, man.
Little preview, little preview. I know
Preview.
Martian, he hungry in the comments for off
Yeah, that's
season
what I'm
talk.
saying, bro. Him and D-Rab, you know.
We still got a series to finish, man. Anything else on the NBA Finals before we get out of here, my man?
That's it, man. That is it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, definitely be sure to follow us on TikTok. Slim, if you want to get us out of here, my man.
Yes, sir. Shout out to my brother D-Rab, man. You was our 190th follower on TikTok. We appreciate you, man. We're getting closer and closer to the 200 mark, as well as YouTube, man. We're getting closer and closer to the 200 mark. I think we like at 188 right now. So we appreciate you guys for showing the love, subscribing to our TikTok page and YouTube channel. We're just constantly trying to grow and evolve in this media
Yes, sir.
space. And yeah, man, we can't do it without you guys, and we appreciate our love. And nonetheless, man, make sure you guys follow my guy Scotty on X at Scotty Drown, as well as myself at R2R30111. And we will try to be here again early next week for sure, recapping both. Is it both game 4 and 5 or just game 4?
Game 3 and 4.
I
Three's
mean,
tomorrow.
yeah,
Game 4 Friday.
4. Yeah, 3 and 4. My bad, not 4 and 5, 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. We appreciate you guys. We will be back here again next week Make sure you guys tune into the NBA Finals. And with that being said, we out. Peace.
Peace, everybody. Till next